everyone, can you hear me? I'm so happy you're here. Thank you so much for following your intuition. I believe it brought you here, and I hope the next hour is a really rewarding experience for you. I'm just so excited to see you. Thank you. Now, research says that intuition tends to emerge when you're feeling relaxed, calm, and a little bit preoccupied. I mean, you can't force intuition, like things that are invisible and unseen. You can't force them. It's like trying to hold a butterfly in your hand, you'll crush it. You've got to be a little bit distracted. So to help me with that, I've invited two, I'm sure you'll agree, lovely ladies here on the stage with me. And they're going to open up this session with a blessing, prayer, invocations, wonderful words, to help you open your heart and mind to the idea that intuition is your superpower. There will also be a tiny mini meditation, again for the same reason. Now, I'm not going to give you their names. I'm not going to tell you why they're here really, apart from opening it. Anything about them and the reason for keeping their identity a mystery will be revealed as this workshop progresses. Over to you.
Good morning. If you could just take a deep breath and close your eyes. Dear angels, today may we all open our hearts and ask our intuition to support and guide us. Please allow our intuition to strengthen our connection to the wisdom of our true selves. Help us rise above any fears and low self-esteem we may have so that we can clearly hear our inner voices. Help us feel safe as we learn how intuition speaks to us, and help us sense and avoid people and situations that do not serve our best interests. Help us understand that intuition is our silent superpower and a blessing that is always available to us. Our finest moments occur when we are listening to and trusting our intuition. Our highest good happens when we are all led by our intuition. We are now ready to connect to the gift of our intuition, and we promise to use it to create a happier and more balanced life for ourselves and for others. And so it is. Amen. Namaste.
So just keeping our eyes closed, we're going to start to breathe into the gift that we all have of our intuition. This is a natural gift that is part of our own divine human birthright. Each of us possesses. So we're just going to invite our logical mind, our rational mind, just to take a back seat and relax as we call forward our beautiful feminine side, our magical side, our intuition. Start to breathe light down into your belly, into your heart, and into your mind. And these are our three brains, our three centers. We have a thinking brain, we have a feeling brain, and we have an instinctive brain. And as you focus your attention on your heart, it's this space that we're going to feel into, and our belly. So bringing your awareness either into your heart or your belly, wherever you feel more comfortable. We're going to start to open a beautiful sphere of light here. So feel a point of light as you breathe into this space, begin to grow in your belly, and feel this point of light, pure light, become like a little ball of sunlight in your belly or your heart. And then expand this ball of light out, and as you feel this ball of light spinning and rotating and burning and blazing like the sun, what you're doing is you're clearing away anyone else's thoughts, feelings, emotions, intentions from your energy field, from your consciousness, and you're starting to clear yourself and bring in your gift of discernment so that you can really clearly feel your own feelings, your own emotions, and your own gift of perception. As you expand that ball of light out, it gets bigger and bigger until it becomes a sphere of light all around you, and you're sitting in this beautiful orb of clear light, pure light. Breathe this light in and just feel into your own center. Feel into your own emotions. Just allow a beautiful calm to come over you. Now the key to powerful intuition is in using our own imagination. When we disconnect from our imagination, we can actually disconnect from our intuition. So we're going to let our imagination come out to play here in this beautiful space. So I want you to imagine that you can see with your intuition, you can hear with your intuition, you can feel, taste and smell with your intuition, and you're going to use your imagination to access these gifts. So first of all, I want you to imagine that this whole tent is filling with a colour. I want you to imagine what colour that is. Imagine that colour as clearly as you can, and then imagine you can turn up the dial on that colour and make that colour even brighter. Imagine you can see that colour in its most beautiful divine cosmic glory. And I want you to imagine what this colour would taste like if you could taste it. Does it remind you of a food? What flavour would this colour be? And I want you to imagine that if this colour could make a sound, or a tone, or music, what would this colour feel like? What would it sound like? And if you could reach out and run your hand through this colour, what would it tangibly feel like? What texture would it be? All of these gifts are available to us at all times. So just set the intention now that you are opening to your gift of extrasensory perception through your own intuition. And then breathe the light back to clear light. Imagine the room turning white light all around you as we open a beautiful golden dome of safety and protection all around this tent, so that Theresa may begin her talk and we can all learn a little bit more about our superpower of intuition. So taking a few more deep breaths, bring yourself into your center, and when you feel ready, you can open your eyes and just come all the way back into the room. And you may feel that the energy in the space around us has changed a little bit because you have now blessed your own space. So I'm going to hand over to Theresa now.
Thank you so much. Really chilled now. Really chilled. I'm quite a hyper person, so that was good for me. Thank you so much. I'm going to plunge you into quite a disturbing scenario first, so forgive me, but there is a reason. I want you to imagine you're sitting at your desk, you're sending emails, going about your work as usual, or you're in your workspace, and suddenly there's a massive explosion outside, chaos, disorder, disaster. Everybody is panicking around you. Your immediate gut instinct is, I want to be with the people I love. I want to get out of here. And that's what you start to do. But in the panic, voices of authority start to tell you, calm down. Please do not leave the building. Do not add to the chaos outside. And you start thinking, yes, that's logical. You look outside and it's mayhem. You can hear sirens going. You can hear ambulances, you can hear screams. You do not know what's happening at all. Now the scenario, of course, that I'm describing is 9/11 and the people in that second tower. And I have read stories about that. I've researched it greatly, partly because a lot of people had premonitions and precognitions about 9/11, but also the people who survived and the ones who didn't. And what happened is a lot of people in that second tower, as soon as this happened next door, their instinct was to go. And a lot of people, it really breaks my heart when I read it. They were told to turn back. and go back to their desks. Now, however, there were some people who just thought, no, I'm out of here. And they, of course, were the ones that survived. And whenever I'm struggling to try and define intuition, I use that example, and I'd like all of you to think, what would you do in that circumstance? Because remember, it was unprecedented. The idea of two planes flying into a building. You just wouldn't, in your wildest imagination, think it could possibly happen 10, 15 minutes later, would you? Logic would say, stay here, don't add to the calm and to the chaos. So what would you do? I'm using this as a powerful example of intuition because some people did follow their intuition and get out of there despite what the voices of authority told them to do. Intuition is that gut instinct. It will come out of nowhere and it will usually make you feel quite uncomfortable because you're going against the grain. I'm very interested these days in what scientists are researching in our field, mind, body and spirit, and I was delighted last year to have the opportunity to co-author with a neuroscientist called Dr. Julie Mossbridge, who is researching intuition precognition scientifically. And she's actually a leader in the field at the moment. Her research is actually, I couldn't believe it, the first book I've written, it was on the front page of a national newspaper. Neuroscientist says we can predict the future. Unbelievable. That was because I was working with a scientist about this. But anyway, her research, at the moment where the science is, it clusters in the body, your body having an intuitive sense, and various studies are done where test subjects are wired up with scanners and heart rate monitors, and a series of images are flashed in front of them. And what these researchers found, that over time, in about 80% of the cases, before a disturbing image was about to be flashed up on the screen, the body somehow knew, with increased heart rate, with sweating. And this was just something they found fascinating, and it's called presentiment, which is bodily intuition of a threat or something wrong before you're aware of it consciously. And scientists are so excited about this that they're doing study after study, and I'm following it, and I'm actually collaborating with a lot of them to try and spread the word about their research because we don't hear about it. Also, the US military has got involved. They are pouring millions of dollars, we don't hear about it, into trying to help people in military areas, combat zones, develop this super sense, which they call spidey sense, because they believe that if they can help soldiers develop their intuitive powers, it can save lives. How exciting is that science and spirit are coming so close. One of the reasons I find intuition so fascinating is because, and why it should be here today, is because it's body, what I said, presentiment, your body sensing something before it happens. It's mind, claircognizance, where we have thoughts that come out of nowhere. Just a thought suddenly hits us and we think, where did that come from? That's a brilliant idea. And of course it's spirit, because intuition is your higher self. It's the part of you that actually already knows before you do what is the right thing to do, or the best thing for your evolution and your personal growth. So it's mind, body and spirit. It's the bridge between them all. And I think if you are starting this journey of personal growth and spiritual transformation, working on your intuition is a brilliant way to combine all three. As I said, it's a gut instinct that comes out of nowhere, and it encourages you to do something. Not think about it, but do something. That's intuition. Now, if we all have this inner guide, this higher self, this real us, the real who we are is our intuition, why don't we follow it? Why is it so hard to recognize when it speaks to us? Why don't, when it does speak to us, do we doubt it? And I'm going to give you 5 examples now, or 5 roadblocks to intuition, and ways to perhaps overcome it. And then after that, I'm going to give you about 10 tools that you can take away with you today to connect better with your intuition. So the 5 roadblocks. The first roadblocks is very much a generational thing. It's this generation, in that we live in an age of distraction. Intuition speaks to you when you are at peace, through calm, through quiet. And today it's virtually impossible to do that. I find it ironic actually that we're in this setting and there's all this competing noise going on around. It's not the ideal way to talk about spiritual things really, if you think about it. There's so much distractions, and the number one distraction is the one that we all have in our hand or in our pocket or in our bag, and it's our phones. Don't get me wrong, I don't want to go back in time when we had no internet, you know, we had to go to the red boxes and phone. That's not, I mean, the internet and mobiles are amazing. The information you can get, the people you can meet, the new insights, yes, but like anything in life, it's in moderation. And what I find increasingly now is I'm on a tube or a bus and everybody's on their phone, whereas in times past we'd just look out the window, wouldn't we? Drift off and allow our creativity and our imagination to speak to us. But we don't now. We've always pulled towards the phone. Even the pinging of a text. I'm a much people watcher. I watch people when a text comes in. It's like that. I've got to check. Why? It just grabs us, the phones. And I do urge, if you want to develop your intuition, to have periods of your day, even if it's only half an hour to an hour, no technology, no phones, because it's going to distract you from the voice of your intuition. Your intuition can't make itself heard with that level of distraction. In addition, when you are pouring yourself online all the time, what you're creating is an avatar, a not real version of you. And intuition is honesty and integrity. And it's kind of hard on the internet sometimes to know what's real and what isn't. Not to get political, but these days it is. So that's the first thing, distractions. You've got to cut down the level of distractions on your attention. Because your internet responds to your intuition responds to your attention. And if the phones and computers and technology are always distracting you, your intuition won't be able to speak. Second major roadblock is a tough one, and that's your ego, the conscious mind. Now the conscious mind, we have an unconscious and a conscious, and the conscious mind, it likes to think it's the boss. It's like one of those well-meaning friends you have who always knows what's best for you. Sometimes it can be right, but a lot of the times it isn't, because the person, of course, who knows what's best for you is you. Now the conscious mind is very important. We need it to survive. We live in a material world. We've got to get up in the morning, we've got to eat and make choices and have careers. So our conscious mind rules all that with logic and reason. But the trouble is, we put so much value on that we forget about the invisible and the unseen, because the conscious just takes over. It's very, very domineering, and we tend to feed it as well, because the conscious mind and the ego, it gets its identity from outside itself, from what we do external to ourselves. It gets its identity from the way we look, the people we hang out with, the career we have, how much money we have in the bank, how many likes we have on our Instagram feed or whatever. That's how ego loves that. Ego grows with that. And as long as you are seeking external validation or happiness in those things, your intuition again is going to shrivel, go in a corner and just say, come and find me when you're ready to grow up a bit. Because one of the big journeys of our life is realizing that all the things when we're growing up that we thought really mattered, money, relationships to some extent, being popular, at the end of the day, none of that really matters if you haven't got an inner sense of self, if your validation isn't coming from within. Your intuition is your biggest champion, your biggest cheerleader. It wants you to focus on what is meaningful to you, not what other people tell you is meaningful, not what identity your career gives you, not the feeling of satisfaction you get from the money you earn. Because think about it, if money, career, success, fame was the secret to a happy, fulfilling life, why do we read so many horror stories about celebrities who are getting it all wrong? They have everything, don't they? And the reason that they aren't happy is because they're lacking that sense of inner meaning. The most important person to fall in love with in life is yourself. And that brings me to the third reason, third roadblock to intuition is lack of self-care. Now, as spiritual people, we're often taught to put the needs of others above our own, and that is true to a certain extent, but just like with mobile phone use, moderation. You must make self-care a priority on your spiritual journey. And I've made that mistake many, many times, and it's taken me decades to actually realise that I do matter, that my voice has something, and that if I'm unhappy, I need to see to that before trying to fix other people. Spiritual people tend to like to be fixers of other people. Fix yourself first. Put your own oxygen mask on first before you put it on someone else, because you won't be able to breathe. It's the same thing, you can't give out of a cup. You have to fill the cup with water before you can give a drink to someone else. Self-care is so important for nurturing your intuition, because intuition will tell you what is good for you. And if you are constantly making choices that are not good for you, your intuition again will shut down. And once you become more intuitive, you will naturally starting to make healthy choices. You won't go and overeat. You won't overindulge. You will start removing yourself from toxic people who aren't supporting you and encouraging you. Your intuition will start to become stronger and help you make better decisions to take care of yourself. But if you are in a place, and we probably all go through this in our lives, and we really don't like ourselves very much, forget chakras, forget meditation, forget everything. Focus on self-care. Take baby steps first. Start falling in love with yourself. You really are an incredible, amazing miracle. All of you are utterly unique miracles of DNA. There is not one person like you, and there never will be another person like you again. Fall in love with your uniqueness. Once you do that, intuition is so happy, and it starts rewarding you by leading you to make decisions that are in your best interests. The fourth roadblock, again a challenging one, is intuition is not easy. It's tough. And like most things in life, when they're tough, we kind of run away. Because intuition wants you to have discipline. Intuition sometimes wants you to make the tough decisions. Intuition sometimes wants you to challenge people. And most of us we just want to stay in our comfort zone. But I've interviewed many people who are highly intuitive, and one thing I've found is these people are constantly reinventing themselves. Their friendship groups will change, their location will change, their career will change. If they do stay with one thing or one person or one group, they will have variety in that. It will be a constant state of evolution. If you think being intuitive is just being content and happy and blissful all the time, that's a big mistake, because think about it. If you were happy all the time, you wouldn't have that drive. Sometimes we need a bit of discomfort to get us going. I always think about if you go to a theme park, at the end of the ride it's great, when everything's over and it's all, well, actually, let's talk about my favourite place in the world, Walt Disney. If you've been to It's a Small World, beautiful, go around on that ride. It's very calm, it's very tranquil. But the excitement, actually, is when you go on the Twilight Tower of Terror and other things. You need to go through sometimes some of these things to learn and grow. Because as I say in my books over and over again, we're not here necessarily to be blissfully happy all the time, because there's no growth there. The meaning and purpose of our lives is to grow. And I'm telling you, and I'm sure all of you have been through tough times, then is when you grow the most. And your intuition knows that. And occasionally your intuition will force you, challenge you, encourage you to do something which is out of your comfort zone. It will encourage you to do something you fear. And it's doing that because it wants to make you a richer and a deeper person, a person with more to give. Because think about it, that big relationship you maybe had in your 20s or 30s that all went wrong, and you think, I thought it was so right. Nursing a broken heart. Decades later, you may meet someone going through the same. You have life wisdom to offer them. Or that experience may encourage your broken heart, you turn it into art, and you evolve in a different way. All our experiences are wonderful teachers. Don't be afraid of challenge and of fear. Don't be afraid to change, because that's why we're here. I've also done extensive study into near-death experiences and people who believe that they can see the other side, and that's a theme that emerges, that even on the other side we are constantly learning and growing. It's not about just, that's it, I can sit on a beach and relax. A little bit of that, that's part of life, it's part of life experience, but it's not. We are here to experience everything this wonderful life has to offer, the highs, the lows, and all of this. It's like a wonderful jigsaw puzzle. Believe you me, as you get older, you begin to see why things happen in your life. If you're younger, and it's lovely there's some younger people here, you're wanting order and logic all the time, and you can't quite understand why things are happening. But trust me, growing older is absolutely wonderful. I'm actually one of the few people, I love getting older. I'm looking forward to 10 years ahead. I don't know what perspectives and insights I'll have, because you look back and you just see the bigger picture. You can see why you did something and how it led to something. Everything does start to fit together. And also, the older you get, and having, I've often said, had the privilege of sitting with people when they are transitioning to the other life, they never talk about those material things that we think are so important. Their main topics are love, did I help others, and time. What did I do with my time? The final roadblock is when intuition does seize us. We don't know whether it's anxiety and negative thinking, or wishful thinking and fantasy and imagination. Now, there's some ways of telling the difference, and I hope this is helpful because it's helped me. When intuition speaks, it tends to be very quiet and sure of itself. When anxiety speaks, you're going to have loads of thoughts chattering in your head. Loads of conversation, loads of da-da-da-da, backwards and forwards. Intuition is more silent. Intuition also tends to be positive and nurturing and to build you up. However, anxiety, negative thinking, these are the voices in our head that say, I'm not good enough, or they don't like me, that kind of talk. Any time you hear these negative voices, that is not your higher self, that is not your intuition speaking, that is fear, which is the best friend of your ego. So, and then another way that intuition will make itself felt is it will encourage you to do something. I've become very passionate in recent years about having less talk and more doing. Intuitive people are people of action. You will just know that you've got to do something. However, when anxiety strikes, you'll be like running backwards and forwards. Do I do this? Do I do that? There will be indecision. So if you're paralyzed by indecision, that's a clear sign that you're not connecting to your intuition. Intuition also comes out of the blue often. You can't really force it. There are things you can do, and I'm going to move on to that next, which can encourage your intuition to speak clearer. But you can't force intuition. Have you ever had a wonderful insight when you're showering or driving? There's a reason for that, and I'll tell you why. Because you're driving or washing yourself in the shower is preoccupying your conscious mind, your ego. It's got a task, it's got something to do. So the unconscious thinks, I've got a chance now. She's doing a repetitive task. Her mind's switched off a bit. Now the unconscious can come to the surface. And that's why you have these shower insights, these eureka moments, when you least expect it often, when you're switched off and slightly disengaged. And that's why if you do travel on the tube or bus, don't look at your phone, just look out the window, watch the scenes go by. You'll be surprised what intuitive insights will suddenly pop into your mind. So those are the roadblocks. Let's move on now to some practical tools, things you can do to connect to your intuition or hear it better. Well, number one, I've mentioned this already, is self-care. If you don't like yourself, or if you struggle with self-esteem, that's the place to work first. before anything else. Before doing all sorts of wild and wonderful other courses, self-care. Now, loving yourself is one of the hardest things in the world, and again, I think it is the journey of many of our lives. Some people find it very young. I'm sure we've all met these self-assured people who just so love themselves, but some of us take decades, lifetimes to do it. But it is the most important journey you will ever take. Remember moderation again in all things. Don't get so obsessed with it that you tip over into narcissism. We do live in a society now where narcissism is big news, and it's very tempting to be like that, where it all becomes about me. That's awful. But again, intuition will stop you when you're going over the top and when your me focus is getting too much. So that's the first thing, self-care. And I just like to give you all something which, if you are struggling with self-esteem or you know someone who is, that will help you with that. Crystals come from the earth, healing energies, and each crystal has a different healing energy, and rose quartz is the crystal for self-love. So I'm just going to ask if you could all take one, just as a little gift from me, just if you just hand it on, just pass it around, just, I hope there's enough. Just take it with you, and if you don't need it because you're very confident, in fact you all look like amazingly confident people here, give it to someone. We all know someone who's struggling, just as a little talisman, something to help them on their way. So self-care, important for intuition. And next thing that's important for intuition is some time alone. And this is very much tied up with self-care, because people who don't like themselves rarely like spending time alone. If you find it difficult to be with yourself in solitude, it's going to be hard for intuition to reach you. So try and have some time alone where you're not necessarily doing anything, and you're just simply getting to know who you are. Most of us know our favourite movie stars more than we know ourselves. Spend some time getting to know who you are. Spend time alone, and I highly recommend spending time in nature when you're alone as well, to help boost your intuition, and spending time with animals as well, because animals see the real you. That's the beauty of owning a pet, if you do, that they know the real you. And I'm sure if you have a very close relationship with your pet, your pet will sense when things are off with you. Animals are highly intuitive. So we've got that. Another way to boost your intuition, and I've written many books about this that have gone all over the world, is about dreams. You see, the conscious mind is the master of your waking life, and we need our conscious mind, because we do need to be reasonable and logical in this life. Again, it's a balance. So your conscious mind is the boss, and whenever the unconscious comes to the surface, the conscious mind will typically say, "You're joking? No way. You don't deserve that. No." However, when you're asleep, your unconscious can play. Dreams are gold for personal development, and anyone who doesn't start getting into the habit of recording and writing down their dreams is missing out on a gold mine of personal growth advice. One of my favourite movies is Inception. There's that wonderful scene where everybody looks at the dreamer. Now, if you haven't watched Inception, go watch. It's about the world of the dream. Everything in your dream is an aspect of you symbolically represented. So that's why don't panic. If you have a disturbing dream, say a loved one dies in your dream, that doesn't mean it's a prediction. What it means is your relationship with that loved one is changing in some way, because death means endings, but it also means new beginnings. If you dream of driving a car, how are you driving the car? Because any vehicle in a dream tends to show the direction of your life. And I hate it when I dream of being a passenger in the car, because I really want to be driving my own life. I often have dreams, they've got less recently, when I'm in the back seat, or the people are going in the direction I don't want to go. So dreams will show you where you need to be. You need to understand the symbolic language of your dreams, and one of the reasons dreams are so hard to understand is because they don't speak in the language we speak. They speak in the language of symbols, and you have to learn your personal symbols. Dream dictionaries can help. mean I've written a lot of them, because they give kind of common general interpretations of dream symbols. For example, if you dream of a dog, most people would think of companionship, loyalty, love. However, what happens if you're frightened of dogs? If you dream of a dog, if you're frightened of them, then a dog would be a sign that there's something anxious in your life. So everything in your dream is a symbolic representation of an aspect of your personality. And it's sending you messages all the time. Write them down. You may not understand them at the time, but sometimes when you look back on your dreams from 3 months ago, you can see, oh my goodness, my unconscious was so aware. It will make sense to you. So dream interpretation, very powerful tool for boosting your intuition, because it's where your intuition will speak. Another way intuition will speak is through your actions. Contrary to what we've often been taught in this movement, that our mind directs our body, and yes, that does to a certain extent, what I've found recently with working with scientists is that our body directs our minds as well. What we do directs our minds. We all know this. When we go for a run, we often feel better at the end. It's the action. It's the physical action of doing something. So positive daily actions, and I like to call them rituals. Rituals, there are things you can do, and you're all going to get a copy of my latest book, 21 free, 21 Rituals to Ignite Your Intuition, because there are 21 powerful daily rituals there, which research, because I'm very keen now to not be airy-fairy. You know, in my early days when I was writing about angels or whatever, I like to now have it backed up with science and psychology. 21 rituals that if you repeat them and fill them with meaning, they will boost your intuition. Because remember, intuitive people are not vague, they are not talkers so much, they are doers. I hope all of you, when you've read this book, you will become people of action, not words. We've all met people, haven't we, who will make promises and say they're going to do something and then they don't. Those people are not intuitive. Intuitive people you can rely on, you can trust. They are people of action. So if you could just hand out, there's a copy of the book there. Please do take a copy. And if you have any questions as well about intuition or dreams or your personal growth, please do email me. My email address is in the book, and visit my website www.theresacheung.com and subscribe to my newsletter, because I do one about every month with the latest research, interesting insights, reader stories. It's totally free. This is not for monetary reasons, it's just as something I like to do. So do visit my website. If you have a copy already, give one to a friend, someone you think might like it. And then the next way, moving on, another tool, I've told you, the body. Pay attention to your bodily signals. I've had this many times actually, sometimes when I'm going into a meeting or something, and I find my hand will shake, or I get like a pain in my head. And often, the meeting doesn't go that well. And it's almost like my body's kind of got an awareness. So please, pay attention to bodily signals, not ones that happen for physiological reasons. If you've had a curry the night before and you've got butterflies in your stomach, that's not what I'm saying, but unusual bodily symptoms, because as I'll explain in this book, that's where the science of intuition is at now, that our bodies have a spidey sense. And it makes sense, doesn't it? If you go back to Stone Age times, we needed to have a spidey sense, didn't we, to be alert to danger. We have got it there, and science is researching it. So pay attention to bodily signals, unusual signs that don't seem to have a physiological reason. Also your feelings, listen to those, but don't lose yourself in your feelings. That's another journey of a lifetime. We all think when we're angry that we are angry. You're not. Anger is passing through you. The same with sadness. These feelings are all passing through you for a reason. They're trying to tell you something, show you something. Write them down when you have, and sometimes you have feelings, I have no idea why I feel angry today. You don't know, but just write it down. And the reason I want you to write it down, again because I'm working with scientists, is because they're all about proof and data. if you don't write something down, you don't have the proof and you don't have the data to look back on. It all becomes vague and wafty and airy-fairy. Write down emotions and unusual bodily sensations and vivid dreams you've had with a date. So then you're creating your own kind of intuition Bible, intuition diary that you can use. And you can go back and you can learn from it. Okay, I had this happening, and then that happened. Maybe that was warning me, maybe not. You learn about yourself, because learning about yourself is so exciting. Spend time investigating how your intuition speaks to you. And remember, intuition will come out of nowhere often. It's something that just happens. But you can kind of test it. And I'm going to give you a little fun test to do now, which I hope you enjoy. The music's been playing all the time for a reason here, because it's to kind of distract you and have your conscious mind trying to make sense of the notes as well, to free up your unconscious mind. And we're now going to do a little intuition test, because intuition, like anyone and anything in life, loves attention. And I feel so sorry for most people's intuition, because intuition is just like a neglected, an orphan. It's just ignored. We're going to give it some attention now, and it will reward you for it. So even if you get the answers to the questions wrong now, it doesn't matter. The very fact that you are thinking about your intuition here, that you've come here today, and that you're thinking about, you want to be more intuitive, is enough. Your intuition in the coming days, I promise you, it will reward you. Something from this talk will come into your mind and reward you, and hopefully help you on your path to be the amazing, I believe it's eternal, because I believe eternal beings that you are, spiritual beings. And now for this test, if you have a pen and paper, I'm going to divide the room now. So this side of the room, I'd like you to focus in on this lovely lady here, and this side of the room, this gorgeous lady here too. Two beautiful ladies. I chose well, didn't I? So, I'm going to give you a few questions, but you don't have to. You can go with the option of just writing, sitting still for a minute, and then just writing down 5 things about them and their lives that come intuitively to surface. Don't do it straight away, don't force it. I want to have a few moments silence. Or you can try answering the following questions. What is their name? What's their favourite colour? What's their occupation? And this is one they don't know. If they could choose to be an animal, what animal would they choose to be? So if you want me to repeat that, their name or a letter in their name, prominent letter, their favourite colour, their occupation, and if they could choose to be an animal. If you don't want to do the specific ones, you just want to go with other things, that's fine, because I'm going to hand the floor over to them now. They're very, very capable hands, and just thank you so much for sharing this moment with me, because time is so precious, and all of you have given me your time today, and I hope it's been useful. And do visit me on my website. I'd love to hear from you, and my socials. I have a big Facebook page now, and Instagram. I love it, and the best thing about being a spiritual writer is the interaction, because I learn as much from you as I hope that you can get some insight from me. So thank you very much, and over to you two. It's so hard not to say your names. Just have a minute's silence, okay? Will you just listen to the music? Don't force anything. When you're ready, ladies, you can take over.
Well, my name is Krysia Newman Krysia. Sounds like Trisha, but with a K. And I've been called many things, from Harry, because people often get it wrong and say Krishna, but I'm not arguing with that one. I'm an intuitive holistic therapist. And if I just come around, if anybody would like to share anything that they've got.
Pink is your favourite colour.
Yeah, I love pink. In fact, if anybody has said silver, gold, pink, blue, violet, you're all right, because I go through different sort of stages of loving different colours. My husband was a bit sort of taken aback because my lounge is mustard yellow and a deep grey. So whatever colour you've written, actually you're right. Is there anything else?
Occupation, healing and health.
Correct.
Orange. I said orange, but I think the mustard yellow comes. Yeah.
I love orange. I love orange. Anybody else want to share anything?
You're a homeopath.
I was going to train as a homeopath. I've been using homeopathy for 25 years. So yeah, I love homeopathy, so you're great.
Something you teach with flowers.
I love flowers, and I do a lot of work around nature and connecting with nature, and I take children on mindfulness walks into the woods. So you're right. Thank you.
So what animal are you?
Yeah. If I was to come back as an animal, it'd be an elephant.
Did anyone get that? That's so out there.
Do you have any children? Do you have any children?
I do. I have 2 children, 2 girls, and a stepson who's a boy.
Hello everyone, my name is Alexandra Wenman. Should I tell people or should I ask first? I think should we ask first? Does anyone have any insights they would like to share?
I got the A in the name. Yeah. Yellow as a color. Writing, something writing for your profession. And something flying, maybe a butterfly.
You got everything right, pretty much. My profession. I am actually writing a book at the moment. I'm nearly finished my book. My colour for my healing system that I channeled is yellow gold. My logo is yellow. I would love to be a bird. I have flying dreams all the time. What else did you say? Something else that I missed. My name is Alexandra. Yeah, it's amazing. Did you have something? You was a bird. Amazing.
I had a few names come to mind, and one of them was Alexis or Alexia, and then I thought red or yellow and bird, and then yoga teacher and occupation.
I'm thinking about training in yoga actually. Anybody else?
I get the feeling because you work with sounds, healing, frequencies.
So I'm an intuitive channel and a healer, and I had a near-death experience at birth, which meant that I came into this life very, very open. The way I see the world is that everything has consciousness, so I communicate with animals, plants, trees, angels, spirit guides, beautiful galactic light beings, all manner of things. So to me, intuition is the key to really opening up to who we really are as divine human beings. And also one of my favourite colours is pink, so you were right about me, hence my pink lipstick.
Any of you remember Prediction magazine?
Yes, I used to edit Prediction magazine back in the day, and yeah, I am currently, that was amazing because I was writing my book yesterday and having a panic attack and thinking, do I actually want to finish this or throw it in the bin? So amazing. Thank you so much. And Theresa, thank you so much. So just before Krysia does a closing prayer, because we've opened you all up to spirit and to your intuition, we're just going to do a really quick process just to show you how to close down, just cloak yourself and come back into 3D, bring back your logical mind, because we all need our logical minds to survive in this world. So if you want to just close your eyes once again and just start to become really acutely aware of your physical body. And if you could imagine that sphere of light that we expanded out into when we first opened up, just become aware of that expansion of your consciousness out beyond your body, and just start to pull your consciousness back into your body. Just draw yourself back in. Imagine you're sinking your weight into the chair, sinking your consciousness back into your body. Allow your awareness to become body-shaped once again. And I do a process where I say shrink, sink and shield. So shrink yourself right down into your body, especially in a show like this, there's a lot of energies flying around. And then sink your weight, feel the weight of yourself on the chair. And then you can imagine that you have a beautiful cloak to go over your energy field. I use the colour indigo quite a lot. Indigo, it's a very protective colour, and it's the colour of our divine will. If you're into angels, it's Archangel Michael's colour. And whatever way you need to, just become really present with your body, just be really here and now, and don't forget to call back in your logical mind, and we balance our left and our right brain. And thank you so much. I'm going to hand over to Krysia now to finish.
Keeping your eyes closed, taking a deep breath in. I'm just going to read 3 quotes about intuition. May these words linger on your minds, find a home in your heart, and ignite the superpower of your intuition as you go about the rest of your day. Your time is limited. Don't waste it living someone else's life. Don't be trapped by dogma, which is living the result of other people's thinking. Don't let the noise of others' opinion drown your own inner voice. And most importantly, have the courage to follow your heart and intuition. They somehow already know what you truly want to become. Everything else is secondary. To see life from the perspective of intuition is to have vision. To see life from the perspective of intuition is to see life from the perspective of wholeness. It is to understand that life is basically one, and that we are part of life. While the intellect can only see the details, intuition sees the whole. To see life from the perspective of intuition is like looking at life from the summit of the mountain, whereas seeing life only from the perspective of intellect is like looking at life from the foot of the mountain. Through learning to listen to our intuition, we learn to be in contact with the whole. You have to leave the city of your comfort and go into the wilderness of your intuition. Fear nothing. What you will discover will be wonderful. What you will discover is yourself. And so it is. Amen. Namaste.
Yes, I'm still on AOL.com. However, it's very easy to reach me on my website, www.theresachung.com, and also my Facebook author page. I run that along with a couple of other people, and we'd be delighted to hear from you. So please just get in touch. Say you were at the Mind Body Spirit Festival, you didn't get it, and we'll send it to you.
Is your book available in audio form?
Sorry?
Is it available in audio form?
Audible, yes, it's Audible, yes. It was an Audible editor pick actually last week. I couldn't believe it, because I listened to audiobooks and they pick for a week 2 fiction and 2 non-fiction. And then this one, because it's just come out, it was an editor pick. First time ever happened to me. Blew me away. Because that's big, that's Amazon. And to pick it out of all the non-fiction titles again. So I thought that's got a powerful message there. But yes, it's definitely Audible. Thank you. And out of interest, how many are here because you saw me on Russell Brand? No? Yeah, what?
Love Russell Brand.
You know, it is ironic, really, that I've been writing 20 to 30 years about this, working with neuroscientists, and then the one thing that suddenly now I have so many offers of book deals and whatever is Russell Brand helps the spiritual author. That's the way of the world, isn't it? It came out of the blue, that as well. Because I was thinking I want to get the message bigger, and then suddenly I got invited to his podcast. It just came out of the blue, and I was terrified, as you would be. And if you want to have a laugh, do go and watch me on his YouTube channel. There's an hour long of me like a rabbit caught in headlights, Russell doing his thing, and me trying to talk about spirituality. It's funny. But I hope a lot of people actually have found out about Mind, Body and Spirit because of it. As I said, I've never had so many messages since that, so it's quite nice there's just one person here. You actually came with me, so thank you. Thank you so much.